What up, brother?
Hello, my friend. Happy Tuesday to you. And I knew you were going to say Taco Tuesday on your name tag, so my name tag says Mike says it's Taco Tuesday. So
that was not lost on me either. I noticed.
That was it's not a what is that?
Simpatico.
Simpatico. Yeah, it's not one of those things that you say. It is what, Easter egg or something?
Yes, I like Easter eggs.
Easter eggs, yeah.
There was an Easter egg on Facebook for probably, the entire time that I've been releasing sneak peeks. I spelled peek wrong from the get-go, and nobody ever called me on it, so I just started spelling it right because I got bored.
You did P-E-A-K?
Yep.
Instead of P-E-K? That's funny.
Yeah, for like the first 40, maybe 50-some episodes. I just changed it within the last 5 episodes.
We're a bunch of illiterate motherfuckers.
I waited forever.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And I never changed the ones that I misspelled, so if you guys want to go check my work, that's what it looks like.
There you go. Check his work, boys and girls.
So we were wasting golden moments, as Chris likes to say, talking about the
golden moments of the rock and roll. Well, actually, it's about football.
Trevor Lawrence injury that happened over the weekend that he just watched on YouTube.
I did just
I've
watch it.
probably seen it, 50 times now.
Okay.
It was a dirty hit.
You think it was dirty? No.
You
think it was dirty?
Until I just watched it again, I wanted to give the other guy the benefit of the doubt that they started going at the same time, but he clearly started sliding before that guy jumped towards him.
Yeah, and that's what I saw. But and anytime, and literally he was going down before his knee was going down the slide, right? Because when you're running and you're going to slide, you leave your feet to start sliding.
Yes.
So and now.
So here's what I was going to say before I told Chris, watch it. We'll go on live. I wanted to not poison your opinion, but what I wanted to say
wasn't poisoned.
One of the things that they keep talking about is, how do we prevent this from happening again? Because it's a game. Nobody wants to see anybody get hurt unless you're sadistic. We've covered those kind of people on other podcasts. So
sure.
I guess where I'm at is some of these guys, Mahomes is notorious for either faking a slide or sliding so late that then the defenders, in this case, I agree with everyone out there. It was a dirty hit.
Yeah.
This one probably could have been prevented. I mean, he knocked him out, man. He was out cold.
Yeah. And he's going to be gone now for 3-4 weeks easily.
That's unacceptable.
Right. Now, every football player knows when they put that helmet on and they step on the field, they know the risk they're taking. I mean, granted, when you're a punk-ass kid, you don't. But once you hit the high school level and you're cognizant of the blows that can be inflicted on you and you continue playing, if you're lucky enough to get from high school to college and play college ball, if you're lucky enough to get from college ball to the NFL, which, that's a luck thing. Let's not be naive about that. There's 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL for a reason. Granted, one of them just moved teams because he took $109 million from the Giants and did a real big fuck you. You've invested time and money in me, but I want to release, which I didn't think about that until Tom Brady, the GOAT, made a statement that how fucked up is Daniel Jones to have wanted a release after the Giants invested so much time, money, and years in the fuck. They should have put him on the practice squad. He should have been practice squad.
I think they tried that, and didn't he? I think that was what they wanted to do, and then he went in and asked for a release.
Right.
But what I read is they still owe him $62.9 million.
No,
that's not true.
No, what? As long as he wasn't on the roster by March 22nd, which they could have put him on the practice squad. And then at the end of the season, they could have just cut his ass, which they should have done. Then they only owe him $22 million. So they only owe him $22 million.
I thought you and I went over that, and then I read somewhere where it said, they still owe him $69 million. I'm like, I thought we.
Well, part of whatever he's paid this year is probably part of that $69 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
But still, man,
I know.
I'd like to be unemployed for shucks, I only got $69.2 million left.
Yeah. Right. And
for the rest of my life. That's all I got.
Yeah, and I don't know why the Vikings signed him. I'm like, did you not watch him the last 6 years in the Giants? Hello, there's
it was
tape.
It was kind of hilarious if you read that meme that says he went to bed 2-9 and woke up 9-2. I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah,
I don't
and
care who you
they almost lost to the Cardinals. So I was like, well, that's because they signed Daniel Jones. You know, the bad juju. You brought the bad juju with him.
They got the Cubs Billy Goat curse.
Right? Dozier's trying to go out the garage door. Don't go out the garage door, Dozier. It's not time. Dog. Doggy dog. Snoop doggy dog. So we got Snoop on the stoop going on here in the household.
I saw some of your photos there.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. And the little man's got Elf on the Shelf going, you know, so that's cool.
Yeah, they love that.
That's cool. You know, he had a good day at school yesterday, so Elf on the Shelf gave him a Hershey Kiss candy cane. You know, like, okay. And then, so today there's a kid there on the playground, some little man, somebody was having a bad day, so little man approached him being little man, but, you know, nice little dude that he is, and the dude grabbed his neck. And so little man, being little man, he just, whatever got out of that and went to the teacher and said, hey, this fucknut just strangled me. So, you know, it's all good. And then Jake chimes in because, you know, Jake every now and then will just randomly chime in. He's like, you know, better lay your hands off my nephew. I'm like, dude, he handled it properly for a fucking 5-year-old. Like,
yeah,
relax.
That's impressive.
Right. When you get home on leave, you're a black belt, so you can teach him karate, and it's all good, man. Then he can just, you know, 5-finger death punch to a 5-year-old, and there you go.
That's one thing I learned at Thanksgiving. My youngest nephew, he just started taking jiu-jitsu, which is really cool.
Yeah, right on.
It's good discipline, and it, you know, definitely teaches you to defend yourself, which
right. So
I definitely wish I would have learned that.
So Skylar's going to put him in wrestling.
Nothing wrong with that either.
Well, for a 5-year-old who likes to go around and pretend he's a dinosaur,
yeah,
I don't know if that's the best thing to put him into. I think karate or jiu-jitsu or taekwondo or something like that.
I agree with you, but you know how that goes if you're arguing with mom of any kind.
Well, yeah, but you know, I think
you could present a good. Here's why.
Well, see, the problem is there's lack of follow through. Like he started swimming lessons. He got the survival part of it, and then they never went back. Now, granted, because some kid shit in the pool, and this place doesn't think it's necessary to call parents ahead of time before they leave the house and walk into the doors with their kids ready to swim, because at the time he was 3.5, 4. So that's a clusterfuck. You prep the kid, he's going to go swim, and then you get there, oh, where's the pool shut down? Well, dumbass, you should have fucking sent a mass text out 20 minutes, right? As soon as the kid shit in the pool, fucking send a text, man. Sorry, we're closed for the rest of the day. You know?
Most definitely.
It's a floating Snickers bar. And they have to wear swim diapers and shit, but they still, if a kid fucking, you know, no fault of his own, right? Parents got to do a better job. Make sure Johnny goes to the bathroom before he goes in the pool. It's
they're 3.
They're 3, 4, you know, whatever. But so there's that, you know. But yeah,
that's a fine line.
It is a fine line.
You have to introduce kids to things, but I've listened to a whole podcast on this subject of
shitting in the pool.
No, the difference.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Mike has listened to a podcast on shitting in a pool. So, please elaborate, Mike. Is it something that is a common occurrence? Like, does it matter with the age? Because I know 3-year-olds do it. Now, if a 65-year-old man does that, you know, what's the tolerance level there, right? I mean,
believe it or not, it happens 247 times a day across the world.
247 times a day, people take a shit in a swimming pool.
Isn't that fantastic?
You know what's fantastic, Mike, is that you have that knowledge, that you actually listen to a podcast to broaden your horizons on shitting in swimming pools. So let me ask you this. Will you ever step foot into a public swimming pool now?
Never again.
Hell to the no. Hell to the no. Now, true story, we taught Jake when we were potty training Jake. Let's embarrass the Marine, right?
Remind me of the podcast that I was going to tell you about.
Yeah. So we were potty training Jake because, you know, you teach the kid. The boys are easier to potty train, right? Because they can just whip it out and pee. So we were teaching Jake to piss go outside the back door and pee in the rocks, right? Prime example, right?
Okay.
So once he was potty training, he became accustomed to taking, to peeing in the rocks. Every time he was swimming in our pool with friends, guess who would get out and pee in the rocks?
Jake.
That's right. Drill instructor Sergeant Jacob T. Dunham would get out of the pool and pee in the rocks in front of everybody, mind you. Nobody else did. So at least we knew our son was not pissing in the pool.
Here's what I take from that.
Okay.
That if there's a family out there that thinks that that's a problem right now, little Johnny just keeps getting out of the pool and peeing in front of the neighbors, or
Right.
whatever, or the friends.
Mm-hmm.
He might grow up to be a drill instructor in the Marine Corps, so leave him alone.
Damn straight. Discipline.
He's got this under control.
He does. He does have it under control. And I'll be honest with you, there's every now and then I still go outside and pee in my rocks because,
Exactly. Summertime, don't want to
yeah.
go in the house. I'm sweating my ass off from mowing. Behind
Yeah.
the shed I go.
Yeah. See, and I have
Right.
I have the acre, so there's plenty of spots where I just I started fucking with Nikki last week. I did Naked Farmer because she was off Wednesday through Sunday for Thanksgiving. So Skylar and them were gone somewhere, and so basically it was just us in the house, and I was doing some stuff out back, and she went to the chicken coop and was fucking around the chicken coop. So I noticed that I was already shirtless because it was like 78 degrees outside. It's fucking beautiful. So I just
Fuck off.
I know. So I just it was funny because she was in the chicken coop. So I just removed the shorts and walked from the back patio to the far, what is it, the southwest corner of the yard. The house is kind of sitting northeasternly. So I walked all the way back, and the view fence and shit we have, which I can give a fuck. Walked back, approached the chicken coop, and she's stood there, fucking touring around the chicken coop, like doing her thing, cleaning it up and shit, and looks up and just fucking starts, this smirk on her face, like, what are you doing? I'm like, it's Naked Farmer, Nikki. Come on, Naked Farmer. It's a new Instagram thing, We're gonna start an OnlyFans, Naked Farming.
Naked Farmer.
And then kind of just build it from there, and just hey, why not?
I like it.
So, and then she's like, well, the neighbors. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I give a fuck about Crazy Cat Lady. I don't care. Like, if she can see this far, good for her, man. Like, don't give a shit.
Enjoy the show.
The other ones are blocked with a cinder block wall. The other ones are blocked with privacy fence stuff, and it's not like the other neighbors to the east. They've seen it all because they used to have the cameras that were. There's still a little spot that we can see the camera, which means they can see us, but I'm waiting for the hop seed to grow and take care of that, and they should be done.
Good riddance.
So, yeah, and then Saturday's Nikki's birthday party, so it's an all-day affair to set up. So the DJ assured me that he would make sure the speakers are facing easterly and music is playing while they are setting up the stuff, the tables and the chairs and the dance floor and the DJ booth, and got this really cool big name. I got her name in neon lights, Nikki, which is cool.
Nice.
So it'll be nice that the speaker will just kind of be geared towards the east and just thumping all afternoon.
Strategically.
Well, and it's kind of the what is it? Quick pro quo, whatever the fuck it is. Because like when he was out, I want to say, Sunday afternoon. Yeah, because football is on. Sunday afternoon, which is a chillax day. Like we gave blood in the morning, which, I haven't given blood ever. So we gave blood in the morning.
I never have either.
Yeah.
How was
it? Well, I hyped it up more than I thought it would be because I don't like getting shots, right?
No, I'm with you.
But yeah, it took 6 minutes to fill the bag. It took longer to go over the prepping and the questionnaire and the washing and 6 minutes, So now I know what to expect. So now I won't have the weird, because you don't know, right? If you've never done it, you don't know.
No,
right?
Exactly.
It's like when
one of my famous statements, right, about anything.
Right.
If you haven't done it, you can have very little opinion. You can predict, but how was it afterwards for you?
We were tired. Like I went and pulled. We have these sunshades that drop on our back patio, and we had them up on the patio itself because my buddy Sean was painting the trim, making the house look nice. And excuse me. And so I reached up there and I find them, and I couldn't find one of them. So me being me, the hands facing, if you're looking at me, my hands are facing you, right? For people that are just listening.
Yes.
So the traditional pull-up method, and I put my hands on the patio roof and just pulled myself up and like, oh, fuck, there it is. And then, genius that I am, oh, I can reach it.
Now you're holding on with one hand.
I'm holding one hand and I grab it and I pull it. And so the body's doing this, and then I drop back down once I have it, and I'm like, it took all like 5 minutes to do that shit, right? To pull those 3 down, the 4 down, and pot them up, maybe 10 minutes. And I came inside, I'm like, fuck, I'm tired. Just from doing that. And they tell you don't do any strenuous activity.
And what does he do, ladies and gentlemen? Strenuous
I
activity.
hang off the patio. I wasn't intending on strenuous.
That's just what rock stars do.
I just figured I would.
Don't tell us not to do something, because that's what we're going to do.
Right. I just
Right?
literally, I literally just thought it was like an inch on the patio, and I would grab it and pull it down, and but it was legit. Like you don't like we
I
couldn't
think
do
that's
any
just being a man.
probably, and not allowed to do strenuous activity for 24 hours after you give blood, just for the sheer fact. And then funny little thing here that if you didn't know this, giving blood actually burns about 600 to 650 calories.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because then your blood has to rebuild it, and you give a pint of blood, and there's 7 pints of blood in your body. I think Nikki said.
Okay.
You lose 5 pints, you're fucked.
That's death.
You're fucked. You're fucked. If you lose 5 pints, you're fucked. Absolutely.
So if I want to be mean in the nicest way possible, I can just tell somebody, go give 5 pints of blood.
Yes, absolutely.
And let them think about it for a minute, because a lot of people are going to have to Google that one, right? What do you mean by that?
Right.
That's going to be a new one for me. I love it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, come on, fucking
Go give 5 pints of blood, you fucker.
Yeah, and I think I'll verify it's 7 pints, but I think that's what it is.
Have I told you my favorite one?
No,
Wisdom
what's
has
your-
been chasing you, but you have always been faster.
Ooh.
Put that one in your repertoire. I can't remember where I read it, but I committed it to memory because I fucking love it.
Say that again.
Wisdom has been chasing you,
Yeah.
but you have always been faster.
Wow. Right on. And
That's the nicest way to tell someone they're a dumb fuck ever.
Yeah, and just so you know, there's about 10.5 pints of blood in the average human adult body, but this can vary based on such factors as the person's age and size. It accounts for about 7 to
10.5 pints?
It accounts for around 7 to 8% of an adult's body weight. A person can lose around 1 pint without causing any harm to the body.
Which is why they take a pint.
You could technically lose up to 5 to 6 pints or 2 liters of blood before you would die. So you could lose half your blood before you die. So that's good to know. So next time we catch a pedophile or something, we're going to start just draining this blood. We're going to drain 5 pints of blood and then just let him kind of slowly recuperate that. And then
in the Roman times and medieval times, that's what they would do. They would hang people from the fucking wall, and then they would slit them.
Yeah.
Right? And it would take days and
That's
days
awesome.
and fucking days. You think that violence is violent today, people? Go back and look at some history, or listen to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History if you don't want to read, which, fantastic. I love it. It's a great show. That's where I learned about a lot of this stuff. But that was some of their torture methods back then. We'll just hang you there and start slitting you, and the whole town's got to listen to you scream, and then maybe you won't steal something or whatever they did.
Yeah.
They didn't just stick people in jail. Fuck no.
No. No, and that's kind of like, that's the old school, right? Eye for an eye, like thieves got their hands cut off, right? And all the stuff that you did. Imagine if they took the adulterers, right? Dingling, cut your dingling off because you dipped it where you shouldn't have. Imagine that.
Yeah, but back then I don't think that was as much of it, because there was a lot.
They were fucking everybody, man.
Yeah.
It wasn't the monogamy thing. It was.
But you're
free
right.
love.
If
Yeah.
you stole something, they would cut whatever hand you stole it with off, and if you stole again, they'd cut your other fucking hand off.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was brutal.
Yep. It was, for sure.
I mean, I know it's violent today, but this is probably the safest time as far as the number of casualties, because, that's why we have 7 billion people on the planet now. We don't have somebody like Attila the Hun cruising across the countryside just murdering everyone,
Right. Well, did he really just travel the country and kill people, though? Wasn't there a method to his madness? Wasn't he conquering something?
It wasn't him that was it was Genghis Khan.
Genghis Khan, that's what it is.
Yes. No, he really did just
Yeah, okay.
go to places and just decimate. So much so that if you go back to before he existed, Iraq was the intellectual capital of the world. That's where the scientists, the doctors.
Really?
Yeah, they were the United States of today, or even Germany. Germany's way ahead of us in medicine. So if you can think of scientific, inventive, Baghdad, that region, was the smartest place on earth. Genghis Khan comes through, wipes them all out. They've never recovered in 2,000 years.
Huh. I did
He
not know
just
that.
decimated, stole the intelligence, decimated the land, and it's never been the same since. Learned that from Dan Carlin's Hardcore History too, ladies and gentlemen, just to give a plug out there. It's a fantastic series.
Now, so I had a squirrel moment there. Oh, yeah, here it is. So he decimated the country, kind of like when the Moors conquered Sicily and Italy, that, to quote a scene, to summarize a scene from True Romance, one of the greatest Quentin Tarantino movies ever.
Agreed.
The scene is Dennis Hopper is in his trailer and Christopher Walken is the mobster, Blue Boyle, and then he's got his gang around him. And Walken's character is telling Hopper that his father was Sicilian, the world champion of liars, and there's all these tells that Walken's going over, that how many tells women have and how many tells men have, and so he knows that Dennis Hopper's lying when he's asking him a question. So Dennis Hopper, if you didn't know about Dennis Hopper was terrible at remembering his lines. Like he had a memory worth of shit. So whatever scene they would shoot, wherever he was in that scene, in whatever kind of structure, like in Apocalypse Now, he was in a jungle scene. So on the bamboo in the prison in the cage was all his lines. So he knew what to say, and you can watch his eyes in scenes and find his script.
No shit.
Yeah. So
that's awesome.
In True Romance, they're in the scene, right? And and Walken's telling him he can tell if he's lying. So Dennis Hopper, I can't say the word that because it's not relevant. We'd get killed, and I wouldn't say it anyway because that's not who I am. But
okay. Thank you.
Dennis Hopper's explaining that he's a history buff, and he's like, I love history, and so much so that I read a lot and I watch a lot, and he's like, I don't know if you know this, but you're Italian, right? And Walken's like, yeah. He's like, you're all Italian, looks at all of them, And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, the Moors. And there's like, yeah, the Moors were this black tribe of just angry, violent people, right? So Hopper's talking, and he's like, the Moors did so much fucking with Sicilian women. It took what was blonde hair, blue eyes to dark hair, dark eyes, right? Right. And he looks at Walken. He's like, your grandmother, your grandmother, had sex with a black guy, with a Moor, right?
Right.
And on down the line, right? And they did so much fucking, like he says this, they did so much fucking, they changed the bloodline forever.
I remember this
right
now.
So he puffs on the Chesterfield, and the Chesterfield's like a world-class cigarette, right? So he checks on the Chesterfield, takes a drag off the Chesterfield and looks at Walken. He's like, now you tell me, am I lying? Because all of you, spawned by blankety blank. And then he's another derogatory statement, which I'm not gonna say it. But if you don't know the movie, I just Google True Romance, the Christopher Walken Dennis Hopper scene. It's funny as fuck.
So
yeah.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, well, and then Walken, stands up and gives him the kiss on both cheek and turns around and has one of the goons come up to him and grabs the gun and fucking kills Dennis Hopper and then spits his gum in his face and says, I haven't killed a man since like 1982. Dude. And then one of the goons, the Italian goons, asks, because he doesn't speak English, he asks in Italian what happened. And again, I'm not going to drop the line, but the reference is made to the story Hopper told, and there you go. So
to defend that scene,
yes,
that was necessary. What I would consider artistic.
Oh, absolutely.
Language.
Yeah.
For the people that are listening,
yeah,
it's all in context when you see the movie. If you don't like that kind of stuff, please don't watch it. But if you're a fan of, like Chris and I are a fan of the next. What I was going to say is. Mm-hmm. That is the equivalent of going to see Eddie Van Halen play guitar, and then the next night you get to see me play guitar, right? I'm not a bad guitar player, but I'm not Eddie Van Halen, right?
Right.
To see him on stage was a level of musicianship that those two, that was a level of acting that was unprecedented.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing two guys interact that are both at a level of what you would consider Hall of Fame type actors, right?
Amazing actors.
And then to see them have that scene together, like you just portrayed it perfectly, you know?
Right. Well, and here's the crazy thing about that movie. Okay, it's made in 1993, so that gives you a little bit of relevance because
the year I moved to Arizona.
Right, back then in 1993, we weren't woke.
Little Mike was 19.
Right, you can't say that shit. So the cast, okay, just the cast, and you just need to watch the movie because fucking Gary Oldman. I didn't recognize that it was Gary Oldman until the movie was done and credits were dropping. That's how fucking great Gary Oldman plays his character in that movie. Like it is unfucking believable. Like if you've seen Tropic Thunder, where Robert Downey Jr. is, I'm a black man playing a black man, black man, whatever the fuck, the weird little thing. I'm a dude playing a dude, right? Gary Oldman plays this pimp in this movie that is fucking unbelievable. Like you won't recognize him. So here's the cast, okay? Just mind-boggling, okay? Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Gary Oldman, Dennis Hopper, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Val Kilmer, James Gandolfini, Michael Rappaport, Samuel L. Jackson, Christopher Penn, Sean Penn's older brother, Bronson Pinchot. If you don't know who Bronson Pinchot was, he was the goofy guy in 48 Hours, and he also played Balky in Perfect Strangers, a TV sitcom in the 80s.
Yep.
I don't know who Anna Thomas is, okay? But then you have Saul Rubinek, Tom Sizemore, Jack Black. Let's see who else is relevant here.
Man, Jack Black was he was probably our age back then.
Right? Let's see who else I recognize in these names.
19, 20, something like that. I was 19 when I moved to Arizona, so he was he's got to be our age.
Yeah. So Robert De Niro was in it. Chris Pine was in it. I don't remember where Robert De Niro was in that. Dennis Garber, I don't know who that is. Denzel Washington, Nicole Kidman, Mickey Rourke. That's got to be wrong. They don't seem to be True Romance. No, True Romance cast, man. They have fucking. It's crazy. The main cast that I recognize in the movie was Christian Slater, Patricia Arquette, Gary Oldman, Dennis Hopper, Brad Pitt, Christopher Walken, Val Kilmer, James Gandolfini, Michael Rappaport, Samuel L. Jackson, Chris Penn, Bronson Pinchot, Tom Sizemore, Jack Black. All household names.
So what does that tell you? That tells you. So any other, to put this into perspective for people.
Yep.
Any other director would have a hell of a time getting two of those actors to be in his movie, a man and a woman.
Oh yeah.
What the power that Quentin Tarantino pulls in Hollywood because, and I know his movies aren't for everybody, but
no, they're not. Yeah.
For those of us who appreciate the next level of art, that's what I consider his movies, is the next level of art. So do other actors. That's why you can get 10 of them in the same fucking movie. That's my point. That'd be like putting the Beatles and the Stones and Led Zeppelin and the Doors and the Who together on the same stage, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. True Romance, just an unbelievable fucking movie, man. Just unbelievable.
So because we squirreled all the way, you gotta Google a statistic for me.
Okay, well, before I go there, when it was released, it earned $12.3 million on a $12.5 million budget. So it actually lost money.
It was a flop, I remember.
Right, but it's a cult classic that is.
I went to the movie theater to see it.
Yeah. Tarantino sold the True Romance script. Sold the script to Tony Scott for $50,000 using cash to fund his own directorial debut, Reservoir Dogs. So Reservoir Dogs was done before True Romance was done.
Yes, but he didn't have the money to fund it.
Right. We won't even go down we won't go down Reservoir Dogs because holy shit. Okay.
We got to do a whole. So here's what we got to do: is a whole podcast on Quentin Tarantino.
There you go. We can do that.
And we have this in common. I fucking love his movies.
So talk to Tony. See if Tony has a 6 degrees of separation with Quentin.
Okay.
And we'll get Quentin on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am trying to get a 6 degrees of separation of a relatively famous person. I'll tell you off the air. But
just surprise me. Don't tell me. Just surprise me.
I'll tell you.
But I don't want to. I want to be surprised. I want to be genuinely surprised.
Okay, I'll genuinely surprise you. So what we were talking about that led us into this conversation about Christopher Walken and Dennis Hopper having that moment was the fact that Genghis Khan supposedly his DNA, and I think it's true as far as Asia goes that it's like 1% of the DNA still in Asia and part of Europe.
Holy shit.
What I wanted you to look up to put this into perspective, put things into perspective for people about, the violence of the time. Look up how many people Genghis Khan killed, estimated. I think it's between 50 and 100 million.
How many people did, Genghis Khan. I'm sorry. It came up with how many people did Genghis Khan father, like 40 or more.
Oh yeah, he was all.
And that was all rape, probably. That was probably all rape.
100%.
Yeah.
When they said raped and pillaged, they meant it.
Mm-hmm. So, here is the Genghis Khan facts, boys and girls. He was born in 1162. He died in 1227. He died at the age of 65.
A lot of fucking and fighting.
Yeah, he created an international communication and postal network known as the YAM, Y-A-M. YAM. There is no artwork of Genghis Khan from his lifetime. Genghis Khan conquest caused the deaths of roughly 40 million people, impacting China and the area that is now known as Iran. 40 million.
I knew it was a lot.
Million. You got to do the million people.
Million.
40. This is according to the Britannica online. 40 million people. Holy shit.
And like Dan Carlin says, they have no way of knowing, so it could be anywhere from 2 million to 200 million. We have no idea.
And it's not saying who he killed. It's just saying that his conquest caused the death of roughly 40 million people. So how many people he actually killed himself is not answered.
No, but he same thing as Manson. He was responsible for, and the thing that is crazy that Dan Carlin does better than anybody ever, because he has such a good, I think you would like him just for his delivery, the way he presents his story, right? It just keeps you captivated. And when he's talking about this, he's like, imagine somebody so charismatic that they get tens of thousands of people to march with them and just decimate everything in front of them, right?
Yeah.
We're here to conquer in the name of this one man.
Yeah.
That's where they were at.
Yeah. So I got 10 things that you wouldn't know. So I scrolled to number 6. So while it's impossible to know for sure how many people perished during the Mongol conquest, which is Genghis Khan.
Yes.
Many historians put the number at somewhere around 40 million. Census from the Middle Ages show that the population of China plummeted by tens of millions during Khan's lifetime, and scholars estimate that he may have killed a full 3/4 of modern-day Iran's population during his war with the Khwarizmid Empire. All told, the Mongols' attacks may have reduced an entire world population by as much as 11%.
Right? Isn't that crazy?
I would still like to know how many he actually killed himself, though. That would be cool to know. From if you know us, we're into the serial mass murderer shit and the kind of weirdness of things.
I don't think that those guys. I'm sure that he went to battle to some degree.
Yeah.
But in his case, maybe he did. He seems like the kind of guy that might have been fucking crazy.
And see, here's the thing. Like the first thing, Genghis wasn't his real name. His real name. Great Khan was what they called him, starting in 1206.
His real name was Dwayne.
Yeah, something weird. But he had a rough childhood. It says that he was forced to contend with the brutality of life on the Mongolian steppe. Rival Tartars poisoned his father when he was only 9. His own tribe later expelled his family and left his mother to raise her 7 children alone. He grew up hunting and foraging to survive. He may have even murdered his own half-brother in a dispute over food. During teenage years, rival clans abducted both he and his young wife. Genghis spent time as a slave before making a daring escape. By his early 20s, he had established himself as a formidable warrior and leader, which, if you look back, and you look back then, that is a bad life then, and even more so, right? Because, there's no technology, all that kind of shit. You're basically just, what the fuck? After amassing an army of supporters, he began forging alliances with the heads of important tribes. And by 1206, he completely, took over the world, basically. Some of his most trusted generals were former enemies. I could see that. I'm going to fucking kill you if you don't step up. He rarely left a score unsettled, meaning that he's kind of like Richard Kuklinski, right? Like you piss off the Iceman, he's not going to let that down. Like you're going to die. You pissed off the Iceman, and your life is over.
And that's the thing that impressed upon me the most when I was listening to that Mongol series. It was like a 4-part, might have been a 6-part series. It goes on forever. It's way more than most people want to digest, but I loved it. The thing that impressed upon me the most was how he decimated he didn't leave anyone alive. He took the people that were beneficial to him, forced them into servitude, the scientists, the doctors, the teachers, everyone else dead. And he left them laying there. There was no burials or anything. There was just millions of dead people in Iran.
Yeah. Yeah. So, interesting. So, in 1947, today in history, December 3rd, a streetcar named Desire opens on Broadway. That was not Robert De Niro, Marlon Brando. That's interesting. Oh, the first text messages sent in 1993, and today in 1993. I'm sorry,
first text message.
Yeah, today in 1992, the first text message was sent today, on December 3rd. The first human heart transplant happened today in 1967, December 3rd, 1967. In 1818, this will make you happy, Mike. Illinois became the 21st state on today's date. So today is your statehood for Illinois.
Woohoo.
Oh, in 1979, on December 3rd, 1979, 11 people killed in a stampede outside of the Who concert in Cincinnati, Ohio. I remember hearing about that. Remember that?
I do.
Yeah.
73, right?
Yep.
That was the year I was born.
Yeah. December 3rd, 1984, an explosion kills thousands at a pesticide plant in India. December 3rd, 1989, 5-year-old disappears. Abductors later ID'd by clothing fibers. Another thing in 1989 today, George Bush Sr. and Gorbachev suggest Cold War is coming to an end. Oh, this is a sad day in history. December 3rd, 1979. The last AMC Pacer rolls off the assembly line. Damn it. You know what the Pacer is, right? That fucking car that Wayne and Garth had in Wayne's World.
Oh, yeah.
The ugly, yeah, ugly fucking Pacer.
Hey, speaking of cars, I just scrolled across one of my things I took a screenshot of.
Yeah.
How do you feel about electric cars?
The 4 kids just died in one's in intensive care from the world's greatest Cybertruck in a fiery crash. Killed them.
Okay,
4
so
5.
This headline, which is from Joel Konitsky.
Okay.
I seem to have heard his name somewhere, but anyway, it says Tesla has the highest fatal accident rate of all auto brand study finds.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that because they're cheap pieces of shit on the outside?
Well, I know I had this person I knew a while ago.
Sorry, they are. They're ugly as fuck to me.
No, but they are. The Cybertrucks. All the Cybertruck did to Elon Musk was show how many people are just sheep.
Yes.
Let's just buy a Cybertruck because
he's a genius, ladies and gentlemen.
He's a way genius. Like
I'm
everybody's
not saying
worried about.
that, but I found that fascinating because people live and die by these things.
Yeah, and they literally Go ahead.
And real quick, here's what I got to say about it. I've been watching this new show called Landman on Paramount. It's Billy Bob Thornton's show. I can't recommend it highly enough.
Yes, I saw the preview for that.
Fantastic.
Okay. Landowner, right? What's it called?
It's called Landman.
Landman. Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And I won't ruin it for everybody out there, but there's one scene where he's standing with a lawyer, and they're standing in front of a windmill, and he looks at the lawyer and he says, if these fucking things actually worked the way that you think they work,
right?
ExxonMobil would put these goddamn things everywhere in the fucking United States. They'd paint it.
Yeah.
But they don't. He said, you want to know what we use these for? To pump the fucking oil out of the ground.
No shit.
It gives them enough energy to pump the oil out of the ground.
Wow.
It's not our savior. To put this into perspective for people who think that this whole green energy thing is what they think it is not.
Yeah.
It takes the largest earth-moving equipment that we make, 12 hours and 240 gallons of diesel to mine enough material to make one fucking battery.
Okay, so say that again. So we're talking about electric vehicles, and,
Yes.
and this is how they make the battery. So share that again.
So it takes the largest piece of earth-moving equipment that we can make, which is a huge Caterpillar, John Deere, whatever you want to buy, Komatsu.
Right. Yep.
It takes 12 hours and 240 gallons of diesel fuel to mine enough material to make one battery. That's a fact.
And most of the Tesla vehicles have 6 to 8 batteries in them, right?
Correct. Or more. I have no idea. I know there's more than one.
Right.
So now you're talking 240, 480. Now we're just adding up all these gallons of diesel fuel that it takes. And I know I know the premise of this show is to get people to start really thinking about whether this is what it's all cracked up to be. He makes another statement that is clearly made to make people think. He says, if everybody went electric tomorrow, we'd be fucked because the grid is not ready for it, right? We can't do it.
No, and that's what people don't understand either. You're charging these vehicles overnight, so you're still drawing energy.
Actually, it's making it worse because, as you know, living in Arizona in a very compressed area with a lot of people during the day is a high demand, right?
Right.
Your electric company and a lot of people that live in this area where I live have no idea what we're talking about because they can't even imagine. But the electric company will actually give you a break on your electricity if you will do your laundry, turn your air conditioning down at night, and not run it at their high demand days when businesses are running.
Right.
Now we're trying to set up an infrastructure that, like Chris just pointed out brilliantly, is asking the infrastructure to pull that same amount of power for everybody to plug their bullshit in at night. We can't do that.
No. And the thing is, like SRP, because I have SRP, which is Salt River Project. So we have SRP. We are on, I pay a certain amount a month because we've just had it I've had SRP for as long as I can remember, right? But because we pay the same amount per month, it never goes down. So it's like $472 12 months a year.
You're on that budget billing plan like my mom's on.
But we still adhere to the time of year. So right now it's 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. You don't run the heater, you don't run the stove, you don't run the dryer, right? Unless it's gas. Anything electric.
I remember all that.
Right. And then the summer, it's 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. So my thermostats are set in both my house and the addition where Sky lives. That once 1250 hits, it goes up to like 76 degrees, and it stays there until 8:05, and then it drops back down to 73. The addition is more insulated than our house because we did the spray foam insulation in it.
Oh, nice.
And so I eventually want to do this house, but they got to go through the walls and shit. So there is that. That side of the house is better insulated, which has made our house that much more cooler because we built 1,247 square feet attached to the west side of our house. So my house right now is 72 degrees, and I haven't had it. Once it started cooling off, I just turned the air and the heater off because I don't fucking need it. In the morning, it's 68 degrees, which is fine, 62, 68, and it is what it is. But so I Googled because we were talking about Tesla. Okay. So Tesla has two batteries. A propulsion battery used to power the vehicle motors, vroom vroom, it actually says that, and a 12-volt battery to power accessories and security. The Tesla battery cycle count, Tesla's CEO, Musk, tweeted and basically saying the battery pack in the Model 3 and Model Y are designed to last 1,500 charging cycles, which translates to 300 miles for a standard range model and 500,000 for long-range versions. Okay? Model 3 has 1,500 cycles. How many times with 1,500? It's the same fucking thing. Come on, why ask the same question differently, man?
And my biggest problem, dude, is these people that fucking drive these cars are, and not all of them. Some of them, just do it for they like it, right? And that's fine. There's different strokes.
Sure,
but most of them are like a lot of fucking vegans I know, where they can't shut the fuck up about it, right? Just go eat your salad and shut the fuck up, right? I'm going to eat my steak and I'm going to shut the fuck up. I don't go on Facebook and tell you how I just ate a carnivore meal, I don't,
right? Yeah.
Who gives a fuck?
I mean, I'll do shit. I'll do shit that's, like every now and then somebody, hey, what do you eat after workout? So I'll do shit like that, but I don't.
That's different. That's not you saying you should only eat meat and not be a vegetarian, right?
Correct. Correct.
So the electric vehicle people, they strike me to be in the same camp, right? Where they're just so indignant about we're doing such a great thing and you fucks that still drive gas-powered cars are polluting the earth. I want those people to understand that it took a lot of fucking petroleum to make your stupid electric vehicle to begin with, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So then how do you think the power gets to your electricity to actually charge it, right? That's more fossil fuel.
Right. See, they need to come up with a way, and I think, and I don't know that there's probably something like this that as you drive an electric vehicle, it should be charging itself. Put some fucking solar panels.
That's
on top
coming.
Of, right.
They're working on it.
Put solar panels on the roof, man. On the roof of the car, and just.
But what do you? We got to figure out how to store the.
Yeah.
We got to figure out how to make the batteries last longer, right? To where they store it.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you know? Speaking
because
of
what
batteries,
happens when the sun doesn't shine?
Right. But did you know, speaking of batteries, that the Energizer Bunny Rabbit was actually the Duracell, the sort of Duracell Bunny Rabbit? But Duracell, the fucks that they were, forgot to trademark it in America. So Energizer saw that and they took it and they made the trademark. So now it's the Energizer Bunny.
You got to be kidding me. Is that a true story?
It's a true story, man. Duracell fucked up and Energizer took the battery rabbit away from them.
The things you learn on this podcast.
The things you learn on the podcast, boys and girls, and I marked that. I marked that. So there you
I'm
go.
Mike. You marked.
Exactly. Energizer Bunny story. Whoops. There's the word. There you go. Okay, story. There you go.
So the other thing that, and I'm not sure that cobalt. I think it does goes in those batteries, but it for surely goes in what you carry around in your pocket every day.
Right.
That mineral mostly comes from the Congo, which is not run by any government. It's controlled by warlords, and these poor fucking kids are digging it out of the ground with their hands. So, be careful about how indignant you are about saving the environment, and talking smack and acting like you're doing such great things, and everybody that's not doing what this is one of my favorite things in life. These people that anything that you're doing that they're not doing is not right? You got to be doing what I'm doing.
Right.
You got to be on Team Electric car. Or,
well, it's that, right. That goes back with the whole political environment we had, right? Because the one side didn't win, the other side did win. Then there's the people that lost are fucking bitter and angry and upset and just like shitstorm. Yet these same people 4 years ago, they were giving the people who lost then shit because they were complaining. It's like
yes.
Don't fucking
the whole
democracy,
team mentality.
Right. It's like I'm in high school. Yeah, I'm in 8th grade now because blah blah blah. It's. I get that people are upset and you're allowed to be upset. You're allowed to have feelings because guess what? Free speech, man. It's free will.
As long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Right.
When you're calling me or you or anyone else a moron for believing what we believe, then you've gone too far. Unless we're there's times where I look at people and I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Because they're doing something stupid, right?
Yep.
But having an opinion, first off, I like that meme I saw on Facebook that says idolizing a politician is like believing the stripper really likes you. Right?
Right.
It's the same concept. You're in there. It's like, man, she was really into me. And, these people I see like salivating at these rallies and stuff. It's on either side. It doesn't matter who you're for.
No.
But the fact that you would go to a rally and act like you're at a fucking Led Zeppelin concert, fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah. Boys and girls.
He puts his pants on just like I do every day.
Yeah. And boys and girls, in case you didn't realize what Mike just said, and you go to a strip club, the stripper is not in love with you. Okay.
No.
The stripper.
I'm sorry we ruined that for everyone.
The stripper wants your money, okay? The stripper is a step removed from a politician because they're such successful sociopaths, they just have to take off their clothes in order to get you to open your wallet and give them all your money. Okay?
Yes.
And you're not going to go home with that stripper. You're going to go home by yourself, alone, with two hands. So, stop
Rhonda
going to strip clubs.
And Rosie.
Right. So stop going to strip clubs because you're never going to go home with a stripper. And if you
can't
do go home
believe-
with a stripper, right, then, kudos to you. You're one in like a million.
It happens.
It does. It does. My buddy Todd, right? Todd Smith, right?
If you're in a band, sometimes these things happen.
It does. It does. My Todd Smith, you remember him, Jake and Elwood. He dated a stripper at Bourbon Street, which is how I learned before I started going to strip clubs that it's all just a fucking act. So I've gone to strip clubs, right? Because you just have it.
My buddy Dave out there was a lonely man, and I had never been. And he was just back from Iraq in the first Gulf War, and we became friends.
Oh, nice.
I think I met him at a gig or something. We were hanging out, and, I'm single, he's single.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you ever been to the Highlighter? I'm like, I don't even know what that is.
Right.
You remember the Highlighter.
I do.
So we ended up spending lots of time at the Highlighter. And then when I was running sound for a couple of those bands, they played at the Naval Base. I got an education in not only how well these girls played this game, and it is a game, and they're fucking good at it. At the Naval Base, which was on I-17 there.
Yeah.
Some of those girls were going to ASU, law school, medicals. They're going to be doctors, lawyers. They could not quit stripping because in fucking 48 hours, they made like $2,000.
Right.
Every week.
Yeah. Oh,
Without
I sold
even
houses.
trying.
I sold houses as strippers when you could have mattress money. It's not, you're not allowed to do it now since 9/11 happened. You can't, everything has to be tracked.
Right.
But shit you not, dude. I had probably 2 or 3 strippers earlier in my career.
And there's ways around that if anybody wants to get a hold of me.
Just straight up cash, just like legit. And you're not lying. $2-3 in a weekend, and I don't know how much of that was just non-VIP, because VIP is where you kind of get the more of the coin. But there were stories, because Todd, we should get Todd on the show. When Todd was working,
please.
when
he came
when
to
Todd,
a lot of Nemesis shows, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. So when Todd was working at Bourbon Street Circus, and actually a friend of ours, this is well after that. It wasn't with Todd was there. So a friend of ours, Nikki and I, became a dancer. And when the Bulls came to town, they would kick everybody out of Bourbon Street because Jordan and Barkley would come in.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. Nobody was in the club.
Jordan at one of the casinos here.
Oh, right.
He's a party.
So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So Jordan, Barkley, and their entourage, their bodyguards and shit, were in Bourbon Street Circus for the entire night. They kicked everybody out, and Jordan and Barkley had, there was a story, I don't remember, it was kind of funny. Barkley, Urkel, and a couple other people.
Urkel.
Right. Swear to God, dude. Swear to God.
What's his name?
Urkel. That's his character, right?
Okay,
but
yeah.
I just remember Barkley and Urkel. Okay, so they're flying down the 101 in Scottsdale, whatever, 110, what nonsense, right? And Barkley's driving, he gets pulled over. The cop asked him what he's doing, and Charles Barkley has no filter, and that's why people love Charles Barkley. He just
Fucking
switched it off. So he told the cop he was on his way to get a blowjob. That's how he was speeding, because he had to go. He was literally on his way to get a blowjob, and Urkel was in the car with him, and it made the Phoenix News, man, because Charles Barkley was arrested or pulled over. I don't know if he was arrested, but he was.
What year was that?
I'm googling it.
How did I not remember
Charles Barkley and Urkel?
That had to have been when I lived out there, because I moved there the year they were in the finals with the Suns. I remember being at that steakhouse in Tempe. It was a famous steakhouse with my grandpa and my aunt, my uncle, my cousins.
Right. So December 31st, 2008, Barkley was hanging with Celebrity Party Posse before he was popped in a DUI in Arizona early that morning.
Oh, this is late, 2008.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was still there, though. I didn't come back till 2009.
But that's what it was. He was speeding. He was arrested, and the reason that he was what he told. Yeah, there it is. Furiously racing to receive a blowjob after spending the evening in the club with Steve Urkel. Yeah. There you go. He got pulled over and arrested for DUI.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's why people like Charles Barkley, because Charles Barkley is a
real
normal
deal.
fucking right. He's a normal fucking human being. He's not. Oh, look at me, I'm Charles Barkley.
And he says what's on his mind.
Exactly. He's
when I told you he was giving all them motherfuckers in the NBA shit for being on that load management system where they can only play like 2 nights a week, and he's like, Jesus,
Yep.
You're being paid tens of millions of dollars to play a game you love, and you can't work more than 2 days a week.
Yep.
That's pretty pathetic.
Yeah, but that's the thing about why people liked Barkley, because Barkley was very just transparent. I'm a human. I fuck up. Oh, I fucked up. Blah blah blah.
And he says what's on his mind, and he's not married to any of his ideas. He just, like I might say something today, and then tomorrow go, ooh, I really didn't mean that, or I really don't feel that way. Sometimes I just say shit, right?
Yeah.
Everybody does, I think, to some degree, but there's so many people that just won't change their opinion about something. It drives me crazy.
Agreed.
It's like open your mind. You only get one life, Do you really want to be tied down to this one ideal for your entire existence? That seems silly.
Yep. It does.
Everybody's got a different way of being happy, I guess, though. I try and remind myself that, too.
Yeah. And obviously Barkley's wife doesn't go down, so he had to go find a blowjob somewhere else.
Was he married at the time?
I don't know. There's this funny little thing that I say. What makes a marriage successful? Laundry and blowjobs. I'll just leave it at that.
Laundry and blowjobs?
Laundry and blowjobs. I don't touch the laundry. Now I will say it's you could use the other word for female fellatio.
Guys out there, you have to reciprocate. That's what
you have to. There
say.
you go. Yeah, reciprocation is and hopefully Jake.
Pull it out of there
hopefully
for him.
Jake and my kids don't listen to this one, but yeah. So there's a
Jake's
reason
old
why.
they know that. At this
yeah,
point,
but they still don't. They still don't
have
want
to.
they still don't want to know. But you're not married 30 years happily, mind you, and we had our struggles, mind you, a couple years for sure. But you don't go the length of marriage that we've gone. And legitimately love each other the way we do and wake up happy every day without Dozier stay wait till she comes in the house without putting smiles on each other's faces on a regular basis. We'll call it that way. I have the door propped open in the garage because it's such a nice day in Arizona. It's a balmy 72 degrees in here. I don't know where it is outside, but
well, it's a balmy 70 degrees in here, too, but let me see. Outside, it's a blistering 25. Feels like 15.
Are you serious?
I wouldn't lie to you. Well, I might, but not on
Fuck
this.
me, dude. It's 25 degrees right now?
Let me rephrase that, ladies
Holy
and gentlemen,
shit.
because I just said that on a podcast. I would not lie to Chris. I might
Holy
fib
shit.
him intentionally, but I would not lie to him.
But 25 degrees. Is there snow on the ground?
A light dusting, yes.
Fuck, dude.
A light dusting. It's been below zero for 3 days now.
Below zero.
Yeah,
You're
but
not-
you know,
you're not
but
in
you know what's good
Wisconsin,
about
man.
that? I know it's still cold here, man. It's the fucking Midwest. There's nothing to block the wind. This part of the country, going back and if you want to know what I know about history, at this point, at one time there was a mile of ice over this part of the country.
Oh, Nikki just came in and said we had a record high today. It's 82 degrees. And you're fucking 25 degrees.
Yes.
25 degrees.
Yes.
They were zero for the last 3 days. Fuck you, dude. You need to move.
You know what?
Crazy.
So walking out of work today, for people that don't live in the cold, to put this in perspective, it's not and believe me, if you were stuck out there, it would suck. You would die.
Would suck. Yeah, yeah.
But it's not the cold that bothers you. It's I do that when I itch my arm all the time. I always give the thumbs up for people that aren't watching.
Yeah.
It's the wind, man. Just like I said, it says it's 25, right? But it feels like 15.
Because the wind.
It's the wind that makes I turn into a little girl in about 2 seconds. It's like, oh, fuck, it's cold out here, But if I had been walking to my car and it was 15 degrees and the wind wasn't blowing, I wouldn't even be wearing a jacket, dude. Well, I wasn't wearing a jacket today.
That's because that's because you come accustomed to that weather. So like in Arizona, and because you lived in Arizona for years, it's the same concept. When
I was just explaining to the people at work today that same thing because they're like, oh, they're on Facebook. My family's in Florida and it's 52 degrees and they're like, oh my God, it's cold. And I'm like, it is cold to them when it's been 90 and 100 for the last 6 months. right?
Because your blood gets warm. Your body gets accustomed to heat. So when it's like legit, we did the turkey trot on Thanksgiving, and it was 46 degrees when we left the house.
That's cold in Arizona. You're fucking freezing.
Right. So by the time we got there, I took off the sweatpants I was wearing, and it was like 50. Where we live, because we have the acre, and everybody around us has the acre, and then the people on the other sides of the acres have 3 to 5 acres. There's not a lot of concrete, right? It's just not. So it's going to be colder where I live than it is where we ran. Like, it was colder. Sure. It's like when we leave to go run tonight, right? It'll be colder when we get home here because we go to Tempe Town Lake where we run, and you're basically running. You're in concrete jungle.
That's what they call it. Yep.
Right. So it's no different than walking around outside in Arizona with this time of year. Like, legit, I could have been outside today working in the yard if I had to. I'm not doing it because I'm waiting for the landscapers to come to get everything primed for Nikki's party. Otherwise, I would have been doing it by now. But I mean, it's not uncommon for me to be in the yard doing yard work in December wearing just my outdoor sweatpants that I wear. They're not really sweatpants. They're just kind of these heavy duty, water resistant.
Believe me, dude, this time of year, I fucking miss Arizona. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
and
if I had my choice, sure. So what we need everybody to do is to, like I've said, you don't even have to listen. Just leave it playing in the background.
Right.
Just every device you have, when you're not using it, plug it into the wall, turn on the Chris and Mike podcast, turn the volume down. You don't even have to listen to it, but leave her playing in the background. Just
there you go.
That's all we need. Then I can go to Arizona from the end of November until April.
Right.
And, just maintain my little studio here and then go record podcasts with Chris during the cold months so I don't freeze to death.
Exactly, man.
That's all I'm asking.
Yep.
I know you people can do it. We love you. You love us.
It's not that hard, 25 degrees. I just can't fathom. Did you watch the game?
It took some getting used to.
Did you watch
the Bill?
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. So I've been on a horrible losing streak here, ladies and gentlemen. It has not been fun, and you do go through periods like that when you're a gambler.
Dude, the game, what was the Steelers game? Like, I didn't start Russell Wilson in my fantasy because he sucked the week before. Which
my dad called that one too. Just for the record, on the podcast, my dad told me we should bet on the Steelers, and just to put it all out there, I said, no, we should go with the Texans, and we both lost. So I apologize, Steele. You picked the right game. We should have went with the Steelers. I apologize. I was wrong.
See, here's what sucks. Going into last night's game, I was 106.5 versus the guy I was playing was 106.04. He had Denver's defense. I lost because I started Baker instead of Russell.
I tell you the same thing I tell my brother.
Mm-hmm.
I love that you guys play fantasy football. It's adorable. But we're talking real money here.
Dude, but you gotta understand, man.
I'm just giving you shit, dude.
You're allowed to give me shit, but I've never did it, right? And my buddy of mine, Brent Hatfield, shout out to Brent. He's like, hey, dude, like 4 years ago, he's like, do you play fantasy football? I was like, no. He's like, come on, dude, do it.
I understand the fun because you're playing against people right?
Right. Well, see, that's the thing. I never really got into it until this year because then I started looking more into the fantasy app and like, oh, I can do this. Oh, I can do that. So I like legit. I had a really good year. I was at one point in time, I only had 2 losses. Then these fucking these not short games, but these stupid little losses for fucking no reason, kind of, like that. Like last night, dude, I was like, going into Sunday's game, I was 99% chance of winning. And then Baker Mayfield didn't do shit, and that's what cost me the game.
Okay, so here's where we saved the day is we both agreed sitting there Saturday that the guaranteed win was the Buffalo game, right?
Okay.
There's no such thing as a guarantee, but when you're looking down the card, as they used to call them, the card is just basically the games per the day, right? You'll look from the 11 o'clock game all the way down to Sunday Night Football.
Okay.
It was blatantly obvious that Josh Allen is playing even hurt. He's playing at a level he's never played at before.
That's because they're fucking tired of losing to Kansas City.
Well, he's definitely possessed, and that team's possessed. So I bet almost $200 on the Bills game on Sunday night because I was down, right?
Right.
And it paid off. I mean, they won in spades. But those situations are few and far between where I'll make a bet to get all my money back in one
gotcha.
fell swoop, right?
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it worked out just because the circumstances lined up where there's going to be certain games.
Sure.
Just like you just said, you know, who would have seen Russell Wilson going? We thought the Steelers
Right?
were going to win, but who saw that coming?
Right. And the over-under was probably anybody that bet the over fucking made bank because
100%.
it
Was probably set at like 48 to 51, let's say.
Right, and they 82 points combined.
Yeah.
Or something to that
It
effect.
wasn't anywhere near that. It
fucking
never
insane.
is.
No.
A high over-under in the NFL is 55,
Gotcha.
56.
Yeah.
A Bears-Lions game back in the day would have been like a 38 to 40 over-under, you know, because they don't might have been less than that even.
Yeah.
Central Division games, especially in the wintertime, have a tendency to score less.
Okay.
West Coast games were always high-scoring games because the weather was nice, right?
Right, and the West Coast offense, all the kind of shit, Bill Walsh era, you know.
Absolutely.
Dan Fouts, you know, Air Coryell, you know. If you don't know these things, kids, Google Air Coryell. It revolutionized the passing game in the NFL.
Damn right.
You know, like you wouldn't have West Coast offense without Bill Walsh. Like
Nope.
You wouldn't have cover 2 defense without Tampa Bay, right? Because that was Tony Dungy.
That's why they call it the Tampa 2.
Right. You wouldn't have linebackers if it were not for Lawrence Taylor. You know, revolutionized the game.
Yep.
Changed the game. Like single-handedly, that dude Lawrence Taylor could come into the
Yeah,
game
imagine the
and
NFL
change
with
it.
no linebackers now.
Right.
There was a time there was no linebackers.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. That's why Lawrence Taylor's a legend, because he changed the way the game was played. He changed the way defenses were looked at and how offenses had the scheme just for him. It's kind of like you have dominant receivers, right? And on the field, you have to account for those. Like if San Francisco's healthy, I saw a stat that they've had 37 total missed games by all pros on their roster this year. Just this year.
It's been
combined.
brutal for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Just
and
brutal.
But that's football, right? And
It
that goes back to not having enough preseason play time because 10 years ago, before the whole collective bargaining bullshit, you had preseason games, you had 2-day practices, you punished your body in preseason and the OTAs and shit. Now you don't do shit. Now you get little massages and you get little walkthroughs and you get the little cushions on your head. You know, you can't hit anybody once the season starts. I think it's bullshit, but it's like Christian McCaffrey. He's done again.
So there you go. You take Christian McCaffrey, you
Right.
take Trevor Lawrence, you take Tua, you take all these things that we've seen this season. You take my poor nephew who, got his leg broken in 2 places. Poor kid.
Yeah, sorry.
Are we not past football at this point? Seriously.
Well, but see, my thing is this: if when you had four preseason games and you had the OTAs, the 2-a-days, and the pads in the morning, the pads in the afternoon, and all that kind of shit, your body became accustomed to getting hit, to taking the blows.
What I'm
to
talking
taking the
about is
punishment.
in those days, those guys were taking how many concussions per game?
Oh, I don't.
Before there
I'm
was
not
a players'
talking,
union
right, exactly. But they also
I'm not
wore more
disagreeing with
pads.
you, but is
Oh, I
more
know.
football better?
I think more football is better in the fact that their bodies will be more accustomed to the hits than they are now. That's my point, because like remember Mike Allstott, the fullback for the Buccaneers, the shoulder.
I like
pads
where
he
you're
wore,
going
right?
with this. Do you know
Okay.
anybody that's an actual personal trainer to athletes of that level that would come on here and talk about that?
I don't know. We could find somebody. I know
Think about
a
it.
couple. I know a couple former.
I like
NFL
where you're
players.
going with this, and I would
yeah.
like somebody that's at that level
Okay.
that could talk about why what you're saying holds water or why it doesn't.
Okay. Right. Okay.
'Cause I don't know.
Well, I don't either. But I just think if you look at the NFL and the injuries and shit, 10 years ago there seemed to be a lot less life season-ending injuries than there is now. But I think it has to come down to the bodies. You get accustomed to getting hit, right? Like you're a running back, you get and you have 4 preseason games. And
Just like we build Callis as being a guitar player. or
exactly.
whatever.
Like when I was tearing apart my yard when we first moved in, I got accustomed to. I could pull a.
I haven't
could
felt
pull
the
a-
end of my fingers in like 40 years. Just
Right, because you're a guitar player, right? So it's different from singing, right? When as I got older as a singer, I started taking voice lessons to make sure that my muscle was staying in shape because I had problems with it. And it's just a thing. Like, so the more that you do something and the more your body becomes accustomed to that movement, right? Like I could pull out, when we moved in, I had fucking chain link fence everywhere in the yard, random spots and fucking fence posts and stuff. I got to the point where I could put the shovel in the ground. By the time I put the shovel in the ground and had the fence post out of the ground and into my 3-yard dumpster, it took me 12 minutes. But I got accustomed to doing it, and I did it repetitively over and over and over and over again.
That's why. So here's what I've heard is that these athletes are doing that kind of conditioning without taking the hits, right?
Right.
So that's where I would like somebody that's a trainer at that level to say, here's what they're doing to replicate what used to be an in-game scenario, right?
Yes.
Because they do a lot of, I hear Rogan talk about it all the time because he's big into fitness, right?
Sure.
Resistance training, where you're punishing your body without punishing your body.
Yes.
You're building, and you know better than I do because you do it all the time, but
yeah,
there's exercises and things you can do to your body that replicate being a running back is what I'm saying. Like you might have bands tied to your fucking legs that are tied to a computer that say, this is what it's like to have 2 people pushing you at the same time or whatever.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that?
I do. Yeah.
Without taking the hits of more in-game action before the actual what matters starts. Because the players union, and I can tell you, being the vice president of my union, unions are concerned about protecting their members, right? So what the players union is saying is we want our stars in there less when it doesn't matter.
Right.
What are the players doing or not doing? Maybe they're not doing it. That's what I want to know.
Well,
that's why I like what
right.
you brought up.
Right, and that's my thing.
It's a great topic.
I just don't think you get accustomed to being hit. Like when a player comes off an injury, right, the injury reserve, whatever, you have the first thing they always say is, after the game, oh, how was your first, how was it coming back on the field after being gone for 6 months? Oh, I just needed that first hit. I just need that first hit to get back in the rhythm, to remember what it's like. So their body's been punished since they stepped on a football field at 8 years old.
Sure.
Okay. So you get to a point and all of a sudden you're not going to be punished anymore until the actual game starts. So then you have people like Al Ashir, is that his name?
Yeah,
who's fucking
like
destroying players, lighting them up like a motherfucker because he always pin up frustration and anger because he can't hit in practice. You can't hit Patrick Mahomes in practice, God forbid. You can't.
Right, he's wearing a red jersey or got a halo around him or something.
But it's the same thing. You can't hit Deebo Samuel in practice. You can't hit Saquon Barkley in practice. God forbid they get a hit. God forbid they get hurt. Right? But then they're going into a game.
Okay, I see
right. Then they're going into a game. They haven't been hit in a week, and they're getting lit up. Like Christian McCaffrey's injury was him running. That's all he was doing. His left calf exploded. There's a slow motion video of it. His left
I didn't
calf,
see that.
His left calf exploded when he planted it. But number one, he put himself on Madden, which Madden fucking cursed.
I've heard that.
Jake's like, that's not real, Dad. I'm like, son, he's out. And look what happened to the Niners when he was gone, man. Fucking sucked because you need him.
You got to have a run game or you don't have a pass game.
Right. And in that game, the 11 plays that were run on offense, he had 8 of them and he got hurt because it's kind of like RG3. RG3 would have been a legendary quarterback had Shanahan not drove him into the ground. Know when to say when. Know when to keep your fucking quarterback at check. Don't destroy your players for one game. And McCaffrey's only been back a couple weeks. So
when it comes to running quarterbacks, that's one thing that the old man will always say is, name me one successful running quarterback in the NFL.
You can't. I mean, Randall Cunningham comes to mind as the first one that actually was a legitimate pocket passer, scrambling running quarterback, right? Like he
did he win a Super Bowl?
I don't think no, the Eagles didn't win a Super Bowl until
I think that's what he's looking for is name me,
there's not.
There's not yet.
I don't think there's a scrambling quarterback. Well,
And he'll say, I'm not opposed to that part of the game, but it never works, right? You put a guy, and he's got experience with it because the Bears just tried it with Justin Fields, right?
Yeah.
You can't really call Caleb Williams a running quarterback because he actually looked to pass before he looked to run. I'll give him that.
And I was thinking Patrick Mahomes, but Patrick Mahomes, same thing. Patrick Mahomes,
he always looks to pass before.
Right.
Yep.
And then he'll still pass when he's fucking 1 inch from the
he
yard
knows
line.
right where that fucking line is.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's going to end up being the GOAT. He's going to end up. The Chiefs and Mahomes, I think, are going to, if they stay healthy. They gotta
just like
healthy.
you said, Lawrence Taylor redefined the game. Patrick Mahomes has, and so has Kelsey with him.
Yeah.
You know, they've basically brought backyard football to the NFL.
They did, absolutely.
And
a
it
lot
works.
and a lot of that's because Mahomes was a shortstop in baseball, and he was a very good shortstop in baseball. He could have went and played Major League Baseball instead.
Yeah.
But the craziness you have to do as a shortstop translates very well to quarterback. And if you haven't seen how Mahomes trains, it's fucking unbelievable. He was on a Netflix series called Quarterback, which is produced by Peyton Manning. Fucking fantastic documentary. It's episode. I think it's 8 episodes. They follow 4 quarterbacks. It's fantastic. If you've never watched it, go watch that.
I'll check it out.
You'll get a new level of respect for what Mahomes does off the field.
Well, there's one thing I can tell you. I've never seen that guy look tired, ever.
No, I agree.
Maybe when he's injured, he looks a little rough. But when he's on his game, when he's standing on the sideline, he's usually chewing on his fucking mouth guard or something.
Yeah.
He's not even huffing and puffing. He's just
and he's not sitting around like a lot of quarterbacks who go to the sideline and sit around.
He's watching all the time.
Oh, speaking of sitting around,
yes,
want to go to the NBA and how LeBron James just walked off the court during a game, and the rest of his 4 players went down the field for defense, and he just walked to the bench.
The one thing that Old Steele and I have in common is we have nothing to do with the NBA anymore. So do tell, because I did not hear this.
I saw it on Instagram. Let's see if I can pull it up. LeBron James.
And I don't begrudge anybody if you love the NBA. I'm not saying a lot of this is my opinion. I got burned gambling on the NBA, and it hasn't been fun for me to watch for a long time. So,
where is it? I saw it.
No defense, all offense. When the score is 243 to 223, it's like Jesus.
Yeah.
Where's the defense?
I don't know. I'm not going to fuck around with all the bad videos they have for LeBron, but I did. Some guy on Instagram was talking about it. How legit he was on the offensive end of the field. Oh, that's funny. Dean just texted me back and it threw me for a loop. He said his uncle watched it over and over again.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
the scene is the Lakers are down on offense and they did something. The ball got stolen, and then it was a fast break back to the other teams. I think it was against the Clippers, back to the Clippers side, and in the back of the scene, you see LeBron just walking towards the bench. Like all the other players are running and leaving a 4-on-5, and LeBron just walking towards the bench, and they're like, "Where the fuck is he going?" Yeah, that's the humility, right? I'm the greatest that ever played. You're not. If you have to say you're the greatest that ever played, you're not the greatest that ever played.
Michael Jordan never said that.
Right. Tom Brady never says that, right? Joe Montana never says that. Jerry Rice has that aura of I'm the shit, right? Like I feel that whenever I see him or he talks, but he never comes out and says I'm the shit, right? But he has that vibe about him. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like the total
100%.
narcissist, like I'm God's gift to wide receiving. But I don't really think.
But he was.
He was, but I don't think he's the GOAT as a wide receiver. I think without Montana, he's not. He doesn't have the numbers he has, right? And without Steve Young, he doesn't have the numbers he has.
But doesn't that go for any wide receiver?
Yeah, it does. It does. But there's like Wes Chandler and Charlie Joyner on the Chargers. Well, I guess they had Dan Fouts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
He was a beast.
Yeah, fucking way beast. Yeah, Randy Moss. Randy Moss was a hell of a one. I think Randy Moss is up there with Rice. If you as far as
another guy that redefined the game. How many one-handed catches does that fucking guy have?
Oh yeah, and that's right. And Beckham gets credit for the crazy one, but there's so many crazy catches now because Beckham opened that up to everybody saying, "Look, you can do this if you practice." There was one this weekend where the dude reached out with one hand. I think it was a Steelers game. I don't remember, but he reached out with one hand, like legit, and held on to the ball as he hit the ground and rolled.
That aspect of the NFL is fucking mind blowing.
Right? It is. Yeah.
The level that these guys can catch the ball now, just like you said, to be able to track the ball into their arm. Yeah. One hand,
right,
and pull it into their body while they are violently hitting the ground from about 3.5 feet, because they just jumped to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And then to roll, to have the instinct to roll over on the right side to have the ball in their stomach.
Yeah.
Like you said, they practice it just like we practice music, but to do it in that moment in time, it's fucking fascinating.
Oh, and in the snow games, because we were watching, Nick and I both watched the snow games that were going on this weekend.
I love snow games.
How do you see the ball in the snow? Because some of the throws that Josh Allen was throwing in the snow, how the fuck do you see the ball?
I have no idea because I lost it every time.
Right, and see, and you're accustomed to the snow, so when it's snowing and the wind's blowing, it's like Jameis Winston took his face mask. It's not his face mask, but his eye shield, off, right?
Yeah,
because it was hitting the shield and sticking.
Then he couldn't see; it was freezing.
Right, but then he's on the line of scrimmage, and they zoom in on his face. It's like he's squinting to the point that there's maybe a little microcosm of like sight there, that he can just barely kind of see, like a little needle. Like, oh, there's no snow, and he's still fucking whipping the ball around. It's insane, dude. Those are the moments when you realize those motherfuckers have more talent in a finger than most athletes do anywhere, and that's why there's only 32 starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Absolutely. That puts it in perspective right there. There's 7 billion people on the planet. There's 32 NFL quarterbacks. So if you want to be one, put that into perspective.
The odds to make it into the NFL, okay? There was, roughly speaking, 1,083,308 high school football players competing, and eventually 251 made it to pro. After a simple calculation, they can get the percentage of student athletes going pro as approximately 0.023%. In truth, this number is not encouraging for anyone eager for a professional career. 0.02% to get in the NFL.
Not good.
251 people out of 1 million, which is why Brock Purdy has a special on Netflix documentary dropping, because, again, Mr. Irrelevant came from Arizona. He's a homegrown Arizona.
It can happen.
It can happen. No,
and
absolutely.
That's the one thing. When we were all the way back, and I know you got to go, but when we were all the way back at kids, that's what I was going to say is you never know until you apply yourself at a level that you never thought possible. We talked about it with music. People always ask me, what is the one thing about being a musician that would surprise me the most? Repetition. The fact you have to do it over and over and over. So if you want to be an NFL quarterback, you better not be playing Xbox, and you better not be watching fucking Netflix. You better be out there throwing a fucking football through a tire, right?
Yep. Yeah, think about that. 251 people out of 1,083,000. And that's just making the NFL. That's not saying they're starting quarterback. That's just those 251 out of the million plus actually make it to the NFL.
Right.
I have a friend, I guess still a friend. He helped me coach the Little Giants when Jake was young. He got drafted by the Steelers, and he special teams maybe 4 or 5 places his entire career. That was it, because he was of the 251, and he was a specimen of a man. But he wasn't good enough to get off special teams. So when you look at people like McCaffrey's and Mahomes and Josh Allen's and Tom Brady's, and they're out of the 251, they're like the 11. Out of that 250, there's 11 that actually make a statement in the world.
So now put another zero behind that 0.02. Now it's like 0.00002. It might be 2 or 3 more zeros.
Let's see what the odds are to become a starting quarterback.
You know the internet's got that figured out.
They do.
Have no fear.
What are the odds of making an NFL quarterback? It says if you're a small school, unheralded college quarterback, it's unlikely you'll ever be blah, 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 blah.
Wouldn't it be funny if Google just said, not very fucking good?
Right?
I think I want that Google. Let's make that.
We can make that Google.
We should.
It doesn't. It's not gonna drop it. When it picks up starting quarterback, so it's trying to act like.
So you figured it out. It's 0.02%.
It's 0.02% to make it to the NFL.
0.02%.
0.023. So it's zero.
So to be
to
Patrick Mahomes is probably 0.00002%. Astronomical.
Yeah. Like a jet just flew over our house.
I heard it. It came through your microphone. That was crazy.
Really?
Yeah. I heard it too.
Is Red Dawn going on? Dude,
the Russians are coming. They did. You know, that's one of the headlines I saw on Facebook the other day is they're promising World War III now.
Who is?
I don't know.
Russia?
We'll talk about it later.
I will. We can. Yeah. Fuck that. Nobody's gonna fuck with our country with Trump in office. Like him or not, everybody's afraid of him. You know.
Yeah.
It is
we'll
what
see.
It is. Yeah, we'll see. All right.
We'll see.
Good place to wrap it up.
We got 4 years to. We'll see.
We do. Yeah. Yeah.
I hope for the best always.
I hope for the best. Hey, so we'll leave you on a somber note. The Gilbert Fire Department had the first ever suicide that went down Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
Somebody from the fire department?
Yeah.
Bummer.
He was a high school athlete that was kind of a star running back, linebacker, and lollipopped with a revolver on Thanksgiving Eve.
That's a
first,
bummer.
First, and so, and I know a couple of firefighters, so like they have so many things in check in place now. For trauma and post traumatic stress, all that kind of shit. So it rocked them because they have so many things in place for the firefighters to reach out anonymously and get the help they need. Still, no one really knows why yet, but yeah, the first one ever. So, and boys and girls, don't let the bad days win.
Absolutely. We mean that when we say it. It's not just something that we say. You're hearing that from two recovering addicts who are happy to be alive every day. No matter how we seem on this podcast on any given day, because we do a lot of them, and everybody has days that aren't so good. But
absolutely,
there are no two happier people to wake up every morning than Chris and I, because we get another day to do it what we consider the right way now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we mean it when we say it. Don't let the bad days win. We have a way to get a hold of us if you don't feel comfortable talking to us. There's organizations, there's all kinds of people out there. There's always somebody that's willing to listen to you. I did find that even at my worst time. So
yeah. Call 988. That's call or text 988. That's your suicide and crisis hot lifeline.
Yes, please don't do that. Chris has said it a million times. He'll say it a million more. Someone will care that you're not here tomorrow.
Yep. You are
whether
loved
you think
by
so or
somebody.
not. Absolutely.
You are loved by somebody, period. It doesn't matter what you think. If you don't believe it or not, you are. Somebody loves you and somebody will miss you.
Absolutely.
And especially this time of year, don't fucking dwell on your sorrows and shit, man. Find somebody to talk to. Purge it out of your system. Find somebody to listen to you, because this is that time of year, right? Going into the Christmas season that people start getting that woe is me shit, which I get. But tomorrow's a better day. Don't let the bad day win. 988, call or text. I think you probably can Google the machine too, 988.com or something. I don't know, but that's toll free. Everything just, if you're struggling with alcohol, Google AA meetings. There's going to be one in your area. Struggling with drugs, NA meetings. You're going to Google that. There's going to be something in your area, because it just is. So, right.
Amen.
Love you, brother.
Love you too, man. I was just letting you. I agreed with everything you're saying. That's all important for people to hear. So
it is.
We love you for listening, and keep spreading the word. And I'll quit my day job anytime.
There you go.
I got to leave with a funny. We got to leave.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
Have a good night, brother.
Right. Have a great day, brother.
You too.
See
Peace.
you.